Kiyoshi Kurosawa is one of those directors that, like, you can like his films, for example, Pulse or Cure, the ones that he made in the J-horror wave, but if you love a bunch of his films, you're gonna love all of them. This is a director that you see a clip from one of his pictures and you can instantly know that he's the one that did it. The slow, wide camera moves, the dry humor, the suspense that he knows how to utilize so well. He is kind of a machine in the way that he makes his movies, in that they are all within a certain template that are his stylistic obsessions. And you can bounce off of that, or you can appreciate one or two. But for me, I'm someone that, like, anytime there's a Kiyoshi Kurosawa film that comes out, and at this period of time they mostly feel like they're engineered to play at film festivals, I'm gonna check it out. Now, I will say, I like his horror films. I mean, Cure, Pulse, undeniably classics. But I'm a big fan of him kind of genre hopping in his films. He did this a lot when he was making his V Cinema films, the DTV films that he kind of started in his career. But as the kind of horror stuff became popular, he really went into that more. I mean, of course, there's breakthroughs like Tokyo Sonata, or the, films that were basically travelogues for countries that hired him. And those are all suspense with like a little bit of a horror bent. But I was really surprised to find that his new one, Cloud, fits more into that template of like the old V Cinema ones. You read the premise, it sounds like it's going to be a horror thing, a kind of exploration of what it means to be a kind of rip-off artist on the internet, or the connections that you make on the internet. And that's kind of the setup. You have a main character who he works at a place basically folding laundry, and on the side he resells items on a Japanese form of eBay. And eventually he decides, after a big score, that he's going to move with his girlfriend to a big house in the middle of a small town and really focus on the reselling aspect. Now, there is a morally questionable thing that he does, like, is he selling fakes to people? He is buying things for low prices and then flipping them at overly inflated rates. And at first you think it's going to be about people that are after him because they got ripped off and that want revenge. Like the beginning of the movie, as he's getting settled, someone's following him, someone is setting traps for him. But then it turns into something a little bit different that it does. I'll say right off the bat, if you want to go in completely unknowing of the plot, it's great. I would recommend the movie. Go see it, especially if you're a Kiyoshi Kurosawa fan. But I just got to give like a little bit of a comparison to, what the movie is, which is Straw Dogs. It basically turns into a version of Straw Dogs until it doesn't. Like, I checked my watch because I knew this film was 2 hours. Kiyoshi Kurosawa, he loves his long running times to just like luxuriate in the style that he creates. But it suddenly turned a swerve near the end, and I was like, wait, there's still an hour left to this movie? Where could it possibly be going? And it goes into what I said at the beginning, that Kurosawa, he loves his big warehouse style climaxes. Now, this creates a visual kind of tableau that he loves to play with, as well as a suspense tableau, where what it ends up being is like the main character, is doing morally duplicitous things, but the reason the people are after him and what all their motivations are fall into that Kurosawa surrealistic blend, almost like a Kafka-like nightmare, where everybody basically hates you or wants something out of you for many different reasons. I thought this movie was a blast. Like most Kurosawa films, this will not be a crossover hit by any stretch of the imagination, and that I wonder what people will think of it if they're coming to it without having experienced a lot of his filmography, because it seems to be constantly playing off expectations of what he would do, as well as the Straw Dog genre. I mean, Straw Dog exploitation, if you will, in general. Like, he likes to take little swerves when you expect him to kind of push in a specific direction. And there's also some stuff that a little bit problematic in the portrayal of some characters in the picture, but it's so heightened that you can tell he's playing like satirical games here. This is the kind of stuff he used to do in V Cinema, where there's certain expectations that are expected of him, and he's so comfortable in his style and pushing things further than you would expect that without knowing it, you may believe the filmmaker not in control of the tonal balance of what he's trying to do. Well, actually, Kurosawa is in complete control. He's been doing this for decades at this point, and there's no doubt that he's pushing the audience to feel the way he wants them, which for most of the time, I mean, if I had to describe like the genre of this, it'd be like suspense crime, and it's a darkly funny crime film. I mean, the title Cloud doesn't really tell you anything. If anything, you think like, oh, is it like Pulse? But no, this is basically Kurosawa looking into the dark heart of humanity, finding humor there, generating suspense, and also being a kind of examination of what it means in this day and age of trying to make something of yourself, the stepping out of in the employer role, and what it does to morals, and what you actually want to get out of all of that at the end of it. So this movie, when it comes, sorry, I stumbled for a second being like, Cure, is that the title? No, it's Cloud. All these one-title Kurosawa movies. Check it out. I'm sure it's going to play all the film festivals like most of his pictures do, and then eventually be picked up hopefully by a company like Arrow or something like that, and then released on home video. And yes, I know there is dozens of Kurosawa films you probably haven't seen unless you're a big obsessive and you follow everything that he does, so check those out, and then check out Cloud. It fits within that framework. Is it better than the previous ones that he did? Well, I mean, I think it's really effective in a way that sometimes his other ones, which I've loved, have always had a little bit something missing, but Cloud feels like a complete experience, so it gets out of me a very high recommendation.